The NFL is slowly turning into somewhat of a legacy league, with tons of modern stars having relatives who played in the league back in the day. Guys like Christian McCaffrey, whose father, Ed, was a Pro Bowl wide receiver in the league. Jamal Adams' old man, George, played running back. And of course, the Bosa brothers, Nick and Joey, whose dad, John, was a first-round pick and edge rusher for the Miami Dolphins back in the late 80s. The list goes on and on. But even amongst all of these ridiculously talented young men who come from a long lineage of football players, there is one family that stands alone as the true first family of the NFL. And it is, of course, the Manning family, whose roots in the NFL date all the way back to 1971, when the New Orleans Saints selected the Manning patriarch Archie Manning with the number 2 overall pick out of Ole Miss. After one of the most decorated collegiate careers of his time, winning SEC Player of the Year, as well as first-team All-American honors, Archie went on to have a solid NFL career. He was selected to 2 Pro Bowls as a Saint, despite playing for one of the worst franchises of his era. I mean, the guy took 337 sacks during his Saints tenure, which is pretty insane to think about. All of that losing didn't stop Manning from being widely respected around the league, which is a pretty strong testament to who he was as a man and a player, especially considering he posted the worst career record for a starting quarterback with at least 100 starts, as he finished 35, 101, and 3. It's actually kind of sad the more you break down the numbers. I mean, the guy actually retired without having played on a team that finished with a winning season. Anyway, maybe all of that losing did Archie some good, providing him some perspective or extra motivation when it came to raising his 3 sons, Peyton, Eli, and Cooper, all of whom were excellent football players in their own right. All 3 of the boys were football standouts growing up, including the least well-known Manning brother, Cooper, who was a fantastic wide receiver, and he was actually on campus at the University of Mississippi on scholarship when he started to feel numbness in his fingers and toes. As it turns out, he had developed spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spine which results in pretty severe nerve damage. The diagnosis ended up finishing his playing career before it ever really got the chance to take off. The injury was tragic, as Cooper had all the makings of an NFL star. At 6'4" with a wide frame for someone with his speed, he really could have been special. It did, however, inspire Peyton, the middle son, to wear 18 when he ultimately made it to the pros, as it was Cooper's number during his playing days. Obviously, most everyone knows Peyton and Eli and what they accomplished on the football field as pros, but I'll give a quick rehashing so it's front of mind for what we talk about next. Both brothers are 2-time Super Bowl winners and 2-time Super Bowl MVPs, with Peyton winning in 2006 with the Colts and 2015 with the Broncos, and Eli's Giants miraculously defeating Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots twice in 2007 and 11. Peyton is widely considered to be one of the best to ever play the position, as he racked up 5 MVPs, 14 Pro Bowl selections, and 10 first or second team All-Pros in addition to a litany of other accomplishments. While Eli's professional resume isn't quite as pristine, he was an excellent quarterback in his own right, as very few QBs are capable of putting together a 15-year pro career. He wasn't just some journeyman traveling city to city as a backup either. He earned 4 Pro Bowl selections and racked up over 57,000 passing yards to complement 366 touchdowns during his time as New York Giant. So you get the point. The Manning family has some pretty elite talent that has come out of it. I'll stop stating the obvious, but here's the curveball you may not have been expecting. Arch, the son of Cooper, who carries his grandfather's namesake, is slowly emerging as one of the elite high school players in the entire country, and it is starting to look like he could be the best Manning to ever do it. Let's start with the basics. Arch, yes Arch, not Archie, is 15 years old, and he plays high school football for the same program that Eli, Peyton, and Cooper played for, Isidore Newman School.
Hello, Newman.
About 4 miles west of the legendary Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Unlike both his uncles, who had beastly high school careers back in their day, Arch started at quarterback as a freshman, which, by the way, was the first time in the school's 117-year history that a freshman did so. It wasn't just his last name that got him handed the starting role either. Arch is already very physically mature. He's a little lean, but broad like his father, weighing in at 170 pounds and standing at 6 feet and 2 inches. Oh, and oh boy, can he sling it. There's very little known about him that resembles a 15-year-old signal caller, his demeanor included. According to those close to him, Arch is an unassuming and quiet personality, just a normal kid in a not-so-normal situation, trying to keep life as simple as possible. And despite all the fanfare that comes with being a Manning, his impact on the football program has been exclusively positive. Straight off the bat, Arch was eager to be one of the guys, and as a result, he easily earned the respect of his older teammates. And that includes Bo Adams, the senior who lost a tightly contested quarterback competition during the team's training camp. Fortunately, Bo landed on his feet and emerged as one of the team's best wide receivers for his last year on campus, but still no one would have knocked either of the young men if their relationship had soured. But that couldn't be further from the case. In fact, the duo often drove to and from practice together, which worked out great for Arch, considering he isn't even old enough to drive. One interesting tidbit about Arch, which does kind of speak to his age, and is a general reminder that he is still just a 15-year-old at heart. On road trips, he rode the freshman bus, and during the pregame warm-ups, he was often found standing at the end of the stretching lines with the other rookies. And whenever he got the chance, he was at the junior varsity games cheering on the team. When asked about it, Isidore's head coach, Nelson Stewart, who was actually high school teammates with Eli and Peyton, looked confused and proceeded to calmly remind everyone that his star signal caller was just a freshman still, and those kids on the JV field, well, those are his buddies. While the majority of his friends were still on JV, Arch is far from a JV talent. He lit up the varsity competition during his freshman season, leading the Greenies to a 9-2 record, completing 64.5% of his throws along the way, while only surrendering 6 interceptions and surpassing 200 yards in all but 3 games. He was no game manager either. The 15-year-old threw for 34 touchdowns during the regular season, leading the way for all quarterbacks in the New Orleans area, which, by the way, is a hotbed for legit Division I football talent. Needless to say, college football coaches all over the country are licking their chops to get a shot at bringing Manning into their programs. Yet, to this point, he has no scholarship offers. Zilch, zero, nada. How is this possible? In a world where we see stud athletes getting offered scholarships after a random highlight goes viral, how could the next great Manning not have any offers? Well, I'm glad you asked. The answer is surprisingly simple. His family has declined them. All of them. Any coaches that were interested in extending a scholarship have been politely told not to bother, explained Coach Stewart. We just say there's no offer to give because there's no offer to receive. And that includes the reigning national champions LSU Tigers head coach Ed Orgeron, who was wowed by Arch at a 7-on-7 camp. While I'd like to think that this choice was in the best interest of keeping Archie's life as normal as possible, like he wants it to be, knowing the puppet master that Archie Manning is, I'd have to think that the decision is strategic, a very basic but effective implementation of supply and demand. And it's working, buddy, is it ever working? Every college coach in America is now waiting for the go-ahead to give their pitch, and Mike Detillier, a New Orleans-based NFL draft analyst, believes that the courtship of Arch Manning could reach new peaks. When it's all said and done, he's going to be the most highly recruited player out of the state of Louisiana, says Detillier. It's going to be a tsunami of recruiting like we've never seen. It's easy to understand why, even looking past the name, Arch appears like he could be the real deal. David Morris, Eli's backup at Ole Miss, and the owner of the Mobile-based training facility QB Country, began working with Arch when he was in 9th grade, and he's raved about the young man's poise and perhaps more importantly, the conviction with which he makes decisions. Young quarterbacks usually hesitate, but Arch doesn't, says Morris. His ability to see it quick and get it out quick is one of the reasons he's playing so well. Not only does he possess the elite Manning arm talent and eternally calm disposition, it also looks like he got some genes from Cooper, ones that Eli and Peyton lacked in a big way. We're referring, of course, to Cooper's athleticism. Arch can move around the pocket and break outside of the numbers, occasionally looking to run downfield if need be, like so many of today's dual-threat quarterbacks can. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but if you want your quarterback to be able to extend a play for his receivers or convert a crucial 3rd and 8 on the ground, he has more than enough athletic chops to get the job done. While his seemingly elite talent and last name are what is getting him all the attention, there have been many young stars that got hot for a moment in time, the internet went crazy, and then we never hear from them again. Sometimes they don't grow and their peers catch up to them, or they get injured. But most of the time, when something goes wrong, it's because the distractions from the firestorm of attention they are receiving start to cause the athlete problems. This is an issue that the Manning family knows all too well, after being involved in high-level collegiate and professional athletics for over 4 decades, and it is something that they are keenly aware of when it comes to how they have mentored Arch and some of the policies that they have put in place. Yes, it is more than just the whole not accepting scholarship offers thing. It looks like, at least from the outside, the elder Mannings have really laid out a blueprint for Arch. In addition to steering clear from recruiters, Arch isn't on social media at all, which for many of the kids of this generation would be like depriving them of water.
I was taking a selfie while shooting a Snapchat, while periscoping that Snapchat, while Instagramming latte art, while saying, "This wins the internet," while still being hashtag so bored.
He also has never done an interview, which I can get behind. I mean, after all, he's only 15. We really don't need to be interviewing him. John Georges, a New Orleans businessman who owns the state's 2 largest newspapers and knows the Mannings well, explained their philosophy saying, "They're very private and protective of Arch. As much as they try to keep a lid on it, There's a buzz. Certain people know how to raise thoroughbreds. The Mannings know how to raise athletes. Whether or not Arch ends up actually surpassing Eli and Peyton, or even his grandfather Archie for that matter, is still to be determined. But if the highlights and hype are any indication, we may have the best Manning ever still to come. And the question TPS would like to ask you, do you think Arch has what it takes to be the best Manning ever? The kid is 15, so remember that when you respond. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, then like the video. We'd really appreciate it. And last but not least, don't forget to tune into TPS every single day for more cool videos. We'll see you next time.